So this is your law of sines formula. If that doesn't make any sense to you, here's what's going on. So you see this little picture over here. The capital letters are going to be your angles. The lowercase letters are across from the angles. So little c is across from big C, little a is across from big A, and so on. So what you're going to do is the angles, just like before, the degrees go with your trig function, and it's always going to be sine. That's why it's called the law of sines. So you're always going to get the angle here, and then the side length is always going to go on the bottom. So you're going to be matching them up. Okay, the ones across from each other are going to go on top and underneath of each other. So there are two different types. One type is when they give you two angles and one side, and you need to find another side. So that's going to be our first one. So again, it's just going to say solve. That means find everything else. So we're supposed to find angle C, we're supposed to find little c and little b. Okay, and they give you these things, which they already wrote in the picture. So what you want to do is write that big old proportion that I showed you. So sine of 48 is going to go over top of little b. Okay, and then I've got this 36-degree angle here. So that sine of 36 is going to go over top of 8. And the last one, I've got the c's, which I'm not even going to write that fraction right now because we don't know anything. But what you could do is you could figure out angle C. If they give you two angles, the easiest thing to do with those angles is subtract from 180, because three angles in a triangle always add up to 180. So it's a little bit easier to do it this way. Okay, so that's 84. So that's going to give you 96. So this is why we have to learn something different. We cannot do SOHCAHTOA with this because it is not a right triangle. So if you don't have a right triangle, this is a different way you can solve it. Now you can use law of sines even with a right angle, but SOHCAHTOA is just a little bit easier. So this law of sines is for triangles that are not right triangles. So I don't have 90-degree angles, I don't have hypotenuse, anything like that. So I could also do the sine of 96 over top of C. Okay, so obviously you want to use this fraction right here to cross multiply because it has the numbers. So we can cross multiply here. That's going to give me b sine of 36, and this is going to give me 8 times the sine of 48. Okay, so if I do that in my calculator, wow. Okay, there we go. So if I do that in my calculator, I got to change my mode. It looks like it was reset. So make sure you always are in degree mode for any kind of trig stuff. So I'm going to do 8 times the sine of 48. And then to get b alone, you're going to have to divide by the sine of 36. So that's going to give me little b. And then we're just going to round, unless it says otherwise, just round to the nearest tenth. But on that test, there were a lot of round to the nearest hundredth, and I don't think you guys were paying attention to that. So make sure you pay attention to what they ask for. I can't remember what it was already. 10.1. Now, if you decide to use little b, don't use 10.1. Use a bunch of decimals. I would use at least 4. 3 or 4 should do you to be able to get the correct decimal. So if you want to use that, you need to plug that in. But I think it would be easier just to cross multiply this and this. So if you like, you can always rewrite it over here. So I'm just going to rewrite the sine of 36 over 8 over here and just use that. So I got 8 times the sine of 96, and then I've got c times the sine of 36. So in this one, I'm going to multiply 8 times the sine of 96. Sorry, my handwriting's really bad tonight. And I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to divide it by the sine of 36. Okay, so that's going to give me about 13.5 for my little c. So I solved. I got the little c, I got the little b, and I've got angle C right here at 96 degrees. Okay, so this is what we're setting up. This is what we're working with. All right, I did one more down here. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to solve them all with the calculator just to save time because this video is going to be a little long. I'm not going to lie. Okay, so to set it up, maybe pause me and set it up yourself. I've got sine of 100 over 22. I've got sine of 35 over c. And then I got to figure out B. So I got to do 180 minus 100 minus 35. So that's going to give me 45. Okay, so the last one is going to be sine of 45 over B. So for these, all you got to do, again, is cross multiply. So I'm going to have C times the sine of 100 and equals 22 times the sine of 35. So when you plug that in your calculator, you're going to hit 22 times the sine of 35 equals, and then hit divided by the sine of 100. That's going to give you your little c. And then I'm going to cross multiply here. B times sine of 100. And then 22 times the sine of 45. So when you plug this one in your calculator, you're going to do 22 times the sine of 45, hit enter, and then divided by the sine of 100. Okay? That's the first type. The second type is solving a triangle when they give you two sides and only one angle. So right here, you can't find all the angles. So it's a little different. The reason why it's a little different is because an angle's missing. So I've got sine of 58 over 24. And I've got, I don't know what this is. So you can call it theta, you can call it d, whatever you want to do. So sine of d over 28. Now, the difference here, when you cross multiply, you got 28 times the sine of 58, and then 24 times the sine of d. Okay, so when you do this one in the calculator, I'm going to get 28 times the sine of 58, and then I'm going to divide it by the 24. Now, this is not my answer because remember, when we're looking for an angle, you are supposed to use the blue sign. So I have to use that blue one right there. So I'm going to use blue sign, and I want this. You can either go up and highlight it and hit enter with it like that, or there's a little ANS, that means answer. So if you hit second and hit answer, it'll come up ANS. It's either way is going to give you the decimal that you want. So you hit enter, and we're going to, again, round to the nearest tenth. So this is going to be 81 point, what was that? 0.6 degrees. So that would be my angle D. And then you can just keep solving like we did before. So this one right here is 81.6, which means you could subtract from 100 to get F, and then do them just like we did the first one. So then you can also do the sine of whatever you get for F when you subtract from 180 over little f. And then you can cross multiply there too. So it's a little extra because you need to find, it's a little harder to find the angle. So you just have to make sure that you use the inverse sign when you do that. Okay. Down here, the only reason I put a third one is because they don't give you a triangle. So sometimes you're going to have to make your own triangle. So if we've got ABC, you just make your own ABC like this. So angle C is missing. That can be theta or C, whatever you want. Angle A is 84 degrees. Little a, so little a right here, is 18. That means this is the 18. And little c is 16. So you do not have to draw a triangle, but some people are visual. If you can see that 84, big A is going to go over little a, you can do that just fine. So sine of 84 over 18. And then sine of c, which I don't know, over little c. And then same thing. So you're going to cross multiply. The janitor's coming. So I have 16 times the sine of 84 and 18 times the sine of c. So let me multiply 16 times the sine of 84. And then I'm going to divide by this 18 right here. And since I'm looking for the angle, I need to do the inverse sign. And at this time, I'm going to do second and hit answer. So this, when it says ANS, that's your previous answer that they're putting in there. And that works as well. So that's going to give me 62.1 degrees. Okay, so that's going to be your angle C. And then all you have to do is subtract these two from 180 to get angle B. And then you'll have sine of whatever that is that you get over little b. And then you can cross multiply with the first one and solve again. Okay, the other things I got down here are triangles with the word problems. So down here it says round the angle to the nearest degree. That means whole number. And side measures to the nearest tenth. So make sure you pay attention to that. So it says, I've got a triangular garden, and it says it's about 42 feet. The angles on each end of this side measure, that means these two angles, are 66 and 82. Doesn't matter which one's which. It doesn't matter if your triangle looks right. It's just a visual. Find the length of the fence needed to enclose the garden. That means I need to find this side, and this side. So to enclose it, I need all three sides. So easy part is you can just subtract from 180 if you want. So if you do 180 minus 66 minus 82, that is 32. Okay, and then you can do sine of 32 over 42. And then we can do sine of 66 over x. And we can do sine of 82 over y. So it's the same thing. It's just a different setup. It's just you have to make your own triangle. And then we could just cross multiply here and solve, cross multiply there and solve. These ones already have all the angles, so you don't have to worry about using the inverse or the negative. Okay, down here, 2 radar stations, A and B. So let's just make an A and a B, and they're 32 miles apart. Okay, they locate an airplane X at the same time. The 3 points, so form angle XAB, which measures 46. So XAB, that is 46 degrees. Okay, so I had to put A and B. I had to put the 32 there. I had to make sure angle XA was 46. And then it says XBA is 52. So XBA is 52. And then it's the same thing. So subtract from 180, that's 98. So 82 would be this one. So you can do sine of 82 over 32. Then you could do sine of 52 over little b. And you can also do sine of 46 over little a. Now it says which measures, how far is the airplane from each station? So they're asking you to find little a and little b. That's what they're asking for. Okay, just a couple more setups. Civil engineer wants to determine the distance from A to B in an accessible point C in the river. BAC, so BAC, this one right here, is 67, and ABC is 52. If points A and B are 82 feet apart, then the distance, find the distance from C to each point. So you're looking for little a, little b. It's the same thing. So you just have to make your own triangle. Okay, so subtract from 180, it's all the same thing. Okay, one more. So it says a range tower at point A is 42 kilometers north of point B. So if I put A north of point B, it's not true north, but you know. So this is 42. A fire at point C is observed from both towers. If BAC is 43 and ABC is 68, which tower is closer to the fire? So you have to exactly tell which one's closer. So your answer isn't just some number. Your answer is either station A or station B, or tower A or tower B, whatever. And then you have to say how much closer. So you'll have to minus them at the end as well. So make sure you, once you find whatever X is, whatever you're looking for, go back and make sure you're answering the problem correctly. Okay, but other than that, at the end, you just have to minus whatever these two things are and your distances. That's going to be it. So that's the stuff you'll mainly be tested on for me. I was told by Mr. Harden and Mr. McGrath, there it is. They are the upper level teachers and they want me to introduce this to you. Okay, so an ambiguous case. This gets a little bit confusing. You'll see it again in Algebra 2 next year, honors, and you'll see it again in pre-calc. I think not till calculus, actually. I'm not positive you'll see it in pre-calc, but you will see it in Algebra 2 and you will see it in calculus for sure. Okay, so ambiguous case. This means if you're given and this is my little, I figured this out. So you may learn a different way when you get to a different teacher, but I have told them about this little trick because it's a lot easier than the way the books explain it. So if the given angle, like this, is smaller than the discovered acute angle. So if you find another angle and it's acute, but it's bigger than this. So let's say you found a 48-degree angle, then you're going to have an ambiguous case, which means you can have two possible answers for everything. So what that means is let's do like we were doing normal. Here's my setup and we start solving. So I've got sine of 30 over 6. And then I've got sine of b over 7. And then the other ones, we don't know. We don't know what's going on there. So if I solve, I'm just going to do it in the calculator. I'm going to times 7 times the sine of 30. And then I'm going to divide it by 6. Don't forget you're looking for an angle. That's the biggest problem I see. So when you see little numbers like that, that should be a giveaway, and it's not going to be your answer. So when you're looking for an angle, make sure that you do the inverse sine. And that is going to give you about 35.7 degrees for your angle B. Okay, let me see, make sure I did that right. 35.7. Okay, so with that, now if you notice, what I said was the given angle is smaller than the discovered acute angle. This is the discovered acute angle. And my given angle, 30, is smaller than it. So this one is an ambiguous case. Okay, this is just something you're going to have to notice when you get into those upper level classes. Okay, so the rest we would solve like normal. So I can figure out angle C now. So to get angle C, I got 180 minus 30 minus 35.7. So that's 65.7. Oh, I'm going to be lazy. Don't judge me. So 180 minus 30 minus 35.7. So that's going to give me about 114.3. So that's going to be my last angle that's given. So that's going to be your angle C. So this is an answer, this is an answer, and then we have to also figure out angle C. So I've got sine of, and I'm going to use a little bit more than just the 114.3 because that might make your answer be a little off. So I'm going to do 6 times that. So when I do it, I'm going to do 6 times the sine of, and I want it to be the 114.3. Well, I guess I can. So what I would normally do is take the 180, minus the 30, and then minus this to get an accurate answer. So now I'm going to do the 6 times the sine of that. So 6 times the sine of this so that I can be more accurate. And then I'm going to divide it by the sine of 30. So that is going to give me about, for little c, 10.9. So this is what you are kind of expected to do in my class, but in the future, what you're going to see is we need another answer. So since we figured out that it is ambiguous, what you'd have to do is you'd have to take 180 and subtract that given acute angle. So you'd have to do 180 minus 35.7 so that we could get what the other optional answer is. Because it could be obtuse. It might not be this 35.7. It could be obtuse, which would give it a 144.3. So you could have another optional answer. So the measure of angle B could be 144.3. So this is my other possible answer, which means I'd have to take 180 minus that and then minus the 30. I know this is super confusing. But that's why they want me to introduce it to you, so it's not super brand new when they give it to you. So that is going to give you your angle C, which is just a tiny, tiny 5.7 degree angle. And then you can just cross multiply the same way we did here. So keep the sine 30 over 6. And then you can do your C so that you can get your little c. So I've got sine of, and again, I would use more than just 5.7 over little c, cross multiply and get your little c. So you can actually have 2